Welcome to Guided by Third Wheel, the podcast. My name is Amber Ireland, and I'm here with my co-host, Jill Bucaro. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Guided by Third Wheel. Today, Amber and I are going to hit a topic that I feel like we've hit a couple times in the past couple months, I think a slightly different way. We continue to live in the world as it is in 2025, and 2025, I think it's fair to say, has been a tough year. Mm-hmm. It's been a tough year to be an American. I think it's been a tough year to be a human, no matter where you're at in the world. There's a lot going on. These past couple weeks, when we're recording this, it's nearing the end of September. There's been a lot of what I would call politically motivated violence. Mm-hmm. There's been concern about racially motivated violence. And then in the wake of these tragedies, which is what they are, there's been a lot of rhetoric in our media, certainly on social media, where it feels like something objectively awful happens and it spurs this ugly debate and polarization where it's, no, this is the way that you should respond to, perceive, react to this horrible thing that has happened. And then there's much fighting between people that are, this is about gun violence. No, this is about leftist extremism. No, this is about rightist extremism. Insert thing here. Even if you have tried to limit your social media time, even if you limit watching the news, there is no way that you have been able to move through the world in the last couple weeks without being touched by this. And for many of us, whether we wanted to or not, we have found ourselves swept up in it. Many of us, especially people that are drawn to this podcast, are probably empaths, are people pleasers, are good on picking up at other people's energy, and it has felt, at least for me, very, very overwhelming. And Amber came today and was like, I think we need to talk about grounding inward in the face of all that is happening, because the last thing we want all of this shit to do is to interrupt the good work that we are doing in the positive ways that we are trying to show up in the world for our communities, for the people that we love. The worst thing that can happen is to let ourselves be consumed by all of this negativity. So then we ourselves become little torches of anxiety, negativity. Amber said this and I was like, oh my God, this resonates for something that I encountered in my work a couple days ago. But any thoughts on that before I go into the story?
When we have a lot of rhetoric that is going around, whether it be on social media or around the people that you know, or just on TV in the news, when we have a lot of that going on, we start to see people as other. We start to see ourselves as other. We start to be more polarized to people that we perceive as not thinking the correct way.
Yes.
Right? We do that, and other people do that. When I get frustrated or upset about something, or I'm upset about the way somebody's thinking about something or reacting to it, you immediately go into, I am other than you.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
I am different than you. You are wrong, I am right. And we stop seeing each other as humans, and the fact that we are connected as human beings on this earth. When we allow that divide to happen, then we allow this polarity to get way out of control to the point that we're willing to fight, to hurt other people in the name of, I am right and you are wrong.
Right.
We are different, right? We lose that. And I think this is a time that we need to really consider, am I choosing to see people as other, or am I choosing right now to see that we are the same as human beings here? We may think differently, we may see things differently, but we both have this human existence. We share this human experience, and understanding that in a way that allows us to be compassionate for someone else, even if they don't think about things the same way that you do, even if they don't see you as being another human being and they see you as other. Because that's what we're here to do. We're here to be compassionate to the human experience. And if we are constantly constantly seeing other people as you are different from me.
Yes.
We create the divide.
That's so true. To be a good social worker, depending on the space that you're in, you have to be able to hold a lot of things as true. The classic example, it can be true that somebody absolutely loves their child and also their child is not safe with them as a social. Both of those things are true. Sometimes children have to be removed, not because their parents are bad or evil or bad parent. It's just both things are true. They can absolutely love their child with everything that they have and also cannot care for them in that moment. And it's interesting to me because I have a hard time with certain things. I have a hard time when people say things that are explicitly racist, sexist, not affirming to trans or LGBTQ folks, not recognizing that children are literally starving to death halfway across the world because of political violence and warfare. I get angry when people don't name genocide. I get so angry about these things because to me, the thought isn't okay because it hurts people, right? Because this person's belief, and like you said, people are allowed to believe what they believe, but it feels emotionally charged to me because my perception is that your belief is causing harm to people. But then it reminds me that belief is harmful and you are still a person that has dignity, that has worth, that is a human just like me. And I pride myself on being someone who can hold a lot of conflicting things to be true. But that one is hard for me. It's one that I continuously work on, but I think a good reminder for us because I can hear somebody say something that I perceive to be so ugly and so damaging. I want to think, man, there is nothing about that person that is also like me. And I want to think that for a number of reasons that have to do with my own baggage and my own shit. But to your point, then I lose the connection. Because I would tell myself I would never agree with something that racist, that classist. There was a guy that went on the news this past week and said, I think in jest, I mean, it was disgusting and awful, but essentially said that homeless people should be involuntarily lethal injected if they don't follow through on treatment or take advantage of the help that is offered to them. And I want to think there is not one fiber of my being that is like that man, but we are the same. And to hold all of that is hard, is really hard to show up.
And sometimes it forces us to look at things within ourselves that we don't want to see. And that's why we want to other, because I'm looking over here at you and I'm like, that is terrible. And I don't have any terrible qualities. I put myself up a little bit higher on the pedestal. I think better than that person does. And then now we're othered. But in reality, we should be looking at that. We should be holding compassion and looking at ourselves like, why is that so triggering for me? Why is this person's beliefs or what they're saying so triggering for me? And how do I work on that, A, within myself, and B, how do I work on being able to show compassion for people who think differently than I do?
Again, because I can, on every level, disagree with what you're saying, but I also agree with you in that I need to hold compassion.
I just want to preface this with saying that doesn't mean sit down and shut up at all. If you are faced with someone who says something to you that you fundamentally don't agree with and you're able to have a conversation, you are 100% allowed to, I believe, say, that is not how I see things. I see things like this. Does it mean we need to argue and fight to the death? No. Because a lot of times, the same way that person is not going to change your mind, you are not going to change theirs. And that's okay. But we can both say what it is that we believe to be true and leave it.
Yes. I think it's the difference between being nice and being kind. We're not saying have compassion and let somebody while out and say something that could be harmful or offensive. But it's also don't jump down in the muck. You don't have to be nice and quiet and meek and scuttle away at the first sign of discomfort. But how can you call that out, call that in, have the conversation? And I think that could probably be a whole nother podcast, right? How to engage in constructive dialogue. But what we're trying to focus on here is how do we even get to the first step where we are not just spinning out all the goddamn time?
And changing who we are and how we're going to show up based on what's going on in the world and the chaos that's around us.
Right. And almost taking away that compulsion or feeling like we have the responsibility to comment on everything that's happening. I definitely feel like in a lot of spaces, I am a leader. And sometimes something happens and I'm like, man, do I need to feel compelled to say something about this? Or to take a stance? I have a stance on most things, but do I share that? Do I add my voice to the fray? Do I say, my God, I feel so overwhelmed as well? What does that look like? And you can make that decision of when and how to act or speak or publicly take a stance when you've removed yourself from the swirly twirly craziness.
When you've grounded.
When you've
grounded into what it is that you believe, how you want to take a stance, when you've listened internally and trusted your own guidance to say, do I need to do this? Or do I sit here and just make sure that I'm healing myself so I can show up in a way that is productive to the world? Do I need to say something or not? And once you've taken a pause, then that's the time to either act externally or act internally. But if you don't pause, you're going to be adding to the chaos because you're just going to react.
Exactly. And we need less chaos these days. We need more people that are thinking and acting and speaking deliberately.
Especially in our leaders, because when someone like you, where you're a community leader, you've got a lot of people that look to you like, all right, what's the pulse on this? And they're watching you get upset and spun out. And they're like, if Jill spun out... Shit, we've all got to be, right?
Right.
And so I think when you're in those spaces where people are looking to you for what do we do, you have more of a responsibility to pause and decide what it is that is true for you to do. It's not what is going to please the masses. It is what is right for me to do. What is in alignment for me? Because if it's in alignment for you, what you put out into the world at that point is going to be in alignment for what is needed.
Yes. But I like how you said, please the masses. I'm a recovering people pleaser. I have all of my own baggage and triggers when it comes to people being angry with me or disappointed with me or thinking I fucked something up. That's just my own shit that I carry into the world. And there's some stuff for a long time has been universally acceptable. I can operate in spaces where I make everybody happy. In our community overall, people should get treatment. We should help homeless kids. There are some quick wins, and really everybody along the spectrum is good work, Jill. But then I've also worked in spaces that are a little bit more contentious, and I've always had a hard time when I can tell that people are maybe irritated with what I'm doing or I've made them uncomfortable. And I had this experience this past week where one of the hats I wear is I am the leader of a branch of a coalition that is aimed at reducing overdoses in the county where I live. And one of the things that we do is we provide trainings to folks to help them understand what's going on around fatal overdoses. What are the drug trends that we're seeing? How's harm reduction working? And we did a training on harm reduction and stigma in marginalized populations. And we focused almost exclusively on Black folks. Nationwide, in Ohio and in our community, overdoses are increasing for Black people, particularly Black men. And it begs the question that, man, maybe some of the stuff that we've been doing from a public health standpoint and even an individual intervention standpoint to reduce overdose is working for some populations, but it's clearly not working for Black people. So it begs the question. Let's get some feedback, training from folks who are Black, who operate in these communities to share about why harm reduction techniques may or may not be working when it comes to overdose. So we had this training, and it was several days after a bunch of this stuff that we've been talking about nationally went down. And we're having the training, we're talking specifically around service delivery to Black people, right? And we're talking a lot about the implications of the war on drugs and how that has affected Black communities, how these communities respond to treatment, intervention, all this kind of stuff. And I look around and I can tell that some people are uncomfortable. And maybe they feel like they've been bamboozled. Maybe they thought they were coming to learn more about harm reduction generally and were very focused. And I start to melt down, Amber, for lack of a better word. If you're looking at me, I look cool, but I start spinning. And I'm like, man, maybe this was a mistake. I don't want people to feel uncomfortable. I don't want people to not come to our trainings. I'm scared somebody's going to say something and then somebody from the other side is going to say something else and then I'm going to have a riot. I found myself during question and answer standing in front of the presenters as if somehow I could protect somebody from saying something crazy. I just freaked the fuck out. But then I stopped and I grounded, like what we've been talking about, and I had to reel it all back. And nothing about this is untrue. We literally spent the first half of the training going over the overdose statistics by demographics. But I had gotten myself, because of everything that had happened, so spun out about what was going on in the country, in the world, that I almost let myself in the one space where I am a leader and I do have influence and I have a job that I can do to enact positive change. I almost let that shit completely take me out. But then I grounded back in, and I'm like, number one, discomfort is okay. Number two, dialogue is okay. It's okay for people to talk through this. And nobody needs me to protect them or stand in between them or moderate the discussion. But I share that story because I don't think that my experience is unique.
No.
I think a lot of us are showing up to work or to family get-togethers or to meetings with our friends, carrying the baggage of this national turmoil and letting that deviate from the really good work, energy, light that we bring into the world.
Yeah. And I like that you said the dialogue. Dialogue is important.
Yes.
The dialogue is valid, regardless if you agree with the dialogue. If somebody in that training would have spoken up and said something, it's valid to what was being discussed. And if they had a certain concern about it, you're at least opening an opportunity to have a conversation about why we know that these are truths. We just showed data that said that this is what's happening. And we've presented ways in which I'm sure culturally, how could we provide better intervention that would be more accepted in the Black culture? If somebody says something that seems off the wall, then now everyone in the room has an opportunity to see it from that point of view, because it's not right or wrong, but that helps people start to find compassion. And being the leader in a situation like that, you then have the ability to apply compassion to something that maybe the majority in that room is thinking like, why would that person say that? That person's being racist, right? You have the ability at that point to step in with compassion and show that we can apply a compassion here because this is what this person thinks, and that's okay. And they said it out loud, and that's okay.
This now becomes a learning opportunity, right? Because I do think, yes, it's okay. But to me, it's okay, but it's not okay to be racist. And that's my belief. But to your point, we can have a conversation, right? And probably if this person is willing to voice their opinion, there are other people in the room who are maybe thinking the same thing. And maybe just hearing it out loud is enough to jar people into thinking, oh, wow, maybe I should think about that differently. Or being able to hear a response to open up that space for learning. And it was just a reminder to me that these are tough times. And it calls for us to be more courageous. Because I don't know that me several years ago would have been able to have the emotional regulation, the grounding, or even just the bravery to have this conversation in the wake of the rhetoric that we had that week. I just sat there in that little chair and I had this whole revelation. But if not now, then when should we facilitate these crucial conversations? We were saying earlier, and I've had people reach out to me, especially this week, Jill, what can we do? It feels like our country, we are tearing ourselves apart. And what I've said is, I don't know what to do. And we've said this in other podcasts. I am not the president of these United States. I am not a federally elected official. I am not a governor. I do not work at the CDC, FBI, DOJ, insert here. But I wear certain hats. I am in charge of doing trainings for these professionals. I am supposed to be working together on a small coalition of people to reduce overdose deaths. I lead a roundtable that helps vulnerable people in my community. I have the ability and the space to walk into rooms where we are trying to change the homeless and housing system. Those are the hats that I need to continue to wear and that I need to let the buzz of everything else around me go away so I can ground into who I am and what I am able to do and my values and my morals, and off I go.
And just remembering that nobody has your answer. You have your answer. You know what you need to do for you. That lives within you. If you're looking externally externally for somebody to tell you what the answer is. You are looking to participate in the group think. You are looking to find your group of people to grab your torches and to other the other people.
Yes, that's exactly right. It reminds me, because we always talk about the input, not the output. I think we talked about this recently on a podcast, is we need to remember that just because somebody got uncomfortable or somebody got angry doesn't mean we did something wrong. If the input was pure, to your point, if it was grounded in what we know to be true and right and honoring of all people and protective of all people and loving, then the reaction, that output doesn't matter. It's how are we moving forward? What are we putting in to the work that we're doing? But I think so often we are almost socialized to believe that if the reaction isn't what we wanted, then what we did must have been wrong. And that's not necessarily the case.
No, because we don't control the reaction.
That's exactly right. We have no control over that. And somebody's reaction to what you do has no bearing on whether what you did was right or wrong or with good intentions or bad intentions. You, to your point, you have the answer. Right. You know why you did what you do.
Right.
And have I personally taken advantage of all the swirly twirly craziness to get likes, to get follows, to rally the people, to express my frustration and put myself up on that moral high horse so I can feel good about myself because of all the shit I'm carrying around low self-esteem and worth and all that stuff? Fuck yes, I have.
Yeah.
And so is everybody else that is listening to this. But I think we really, especially now, need to make sure that's not what we're doing. We're not juicing ourselves up for validation because we're feeling some type of way. But think about the purpose of what we're doing and why.
Yeah. And I think it's a good point around the rallying of the troops. We can have people in our life who think similarly to us, that also support similar things that we do. We all have those people in our life. And it's nice to have. It's nice to have people that are like-minded around you, to support you, to have conversations with. You feel grounded with them. You feel comfortable with them. That's great. When we get to the point where we're rallying the troops and we're like, we all think exactly the same.
Yes.
And we are all going to do X, Y, and Z against these other people. That's where we've misstepped.
Yes.
Because these people that I love and care about that are like-minded, they are not same-minded. They are like-minded.
That's exactly right.
And so they all have their own journey and their own path forward and their own way of thinking about things that is not the exact same way as me. And I need to not try to take all those people and be like, we are going to band together.
Sure.
And
storm the castle.
Because that's not what we need to be doing.
No, we need to understand that we are going to have a lot of feelings about what's going on. We, as a collective, are witnessing human suffering, violence, and the discussion around it firsthand in real time. The CNN notifications never stop coming on the cell phones. But what we have to remember is all of that pain that we're feeling on the inside, we have to try to manage that impulse to spew it out and put it on somebody else. I can look at something and I can be horrified. We all have watched people be killed on national television. That is going to put pain and anger and sadness inside of us. And we have to deal with that without spewing it out on the people that we deem responsible, deserving, insert adjective here. And that requires some level of emotional intelligence. Some people do not have the wherewithal right now. They have not done the work that they can feel ugly and awful inside and not push it on to somebody else. But those of us that can, we need to recognize it's okay that I feel all of this anger because there has been some horrible shit going on.
Right.
But it is not okay for me to take that anger and toss it at somebody else.
Right.
Or some other group of people, right? Or other people that I am angry and frustrated with. That is the problem. What we're seeing, honestly, is a collective grieving.
Right.
And people just projecting all of the stages of grief. The anger, the bargaining, the denial, the depression. We're just pushing that on each other without focusing, to your point, on the fact, wow, this country doesn't look the way that we want it to. Our society doesn't look the way that we think it should, right? people should not be suffering.
Yeah.
Those are probably things that 99.9% of people would agree on.
Because that's the human experience. We want to talk about sides of the camp. No matter where you sit, everybody can agree this is not exactly how we would like to be in the world right now.
Yes.
Now, we all have different ideas of what the world should look like right now.
For sure.
But I think we can agree this is not where
this is not it.
And so understanding that connection to other people, you also think things are messed up. Now, you think they're messed up in a different way than I do. But we are all having a human experience that we are fearful. And to your point, grieving the loss of something that we used to have because we don't like the way that it is now, maybe.
Or what we thought we should have. How do we process that and not contribute to the craziness? Because what do we say? We can only control ourselves.
Right.
So people gonna be putting stuff online. People are gonna be saying stuff. News anchors gonna be wiling out. All of that is gonna continue to. We can't control that, but we can control ourselves and the energy that we put out.
And how much
we
participate. How much we participate in those things. It's really a time, and I think a lot of people are feeling this, where they want to feel more grounded. They want to go into the space of, how do I take care of me in this time? I think a lot of people have that on their mind, and they're trying to figure out how to do it, and they're trying to figure out how they can carry that with them throughout their day and throughout the chaos that they're experiencing in the world. And the biggest thing is you've got to do your work.
Yes.
Do your work.
Yes.
Figure out how to keep yourself grounded. Figure out how to keep yourself calm. Figure out how to trust your inner knowing on what to do, how to act, how to interact in the world right now. You've got to learn that. If we all worked on that, we would show up in very different ways.
That's exactly right. Be positioned to engage in coalition building, to engage in hard conversations, to engage in problem solving. Do you want to pull a card for us?
Sure. We will pull an Intuitive Whispers Oracle card.
All right.
So listen to our intuition.
Well, there you go.
So as we do, let's take a deep breath together and release. And we'll set the intention that you'll receive exactly what you need from this podcast and from this card pull. And maybe some insight today on where you could be listening to your intuition a little bit more, where you could be connecting more with other people, and how you can find peace within yourself, even when there's not as much peace out in the world as we want. And we have, it's time to shine.
Ooh.
It's time to shine. Turn on the light switch and illuminate yourself. What is coming through you right now, creatively, spiritually, and emotionally, that needs to be shared? Trust it. Trust yourself. Trust this moment. It is a powerful one. Go take the stage, metaphorically or literally, and see what magic happens. Don't let the doubt creep in. Jump in, the spotlight is waiting. What this is saying to us is, again, trust yourself, trust what you know, and trust when it's time for you to step up and shine your light in whatever way that is.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to step up in the ways that the groupthink is telling you to do, or the ways you think in which is going to make your followers on social media happy about what you're saying. Trust yourself and show up in the light that is within you.
Yes. I'm looking at this card, and it has a tiger on it, and there's so much power in the card. The card to me is, it's time to shine is what it says. It is just radiating power, and a good reminder that we are also powerful in the spaces that we are already in. I think sometimes when there's dramatic stuff going on, we think like there must be a dramatic action that needs to be taken, and we forget all of the spaces in which we already have power, and we need to embody that and move forward.
And in the card, the tiger is looking at himself in a reflection in a pool, and he has the moon above him, so the moon is creating the light for him to be able to see his true power that is in him.
Whew. All right, you guys, take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Guided by Third Wheel, the podcast. We would be honored if you would like, rate, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, be well.